Hey, good morning. Fisherman Barry here. Well, it's nearly afternoon. It's probably approaching noontime. I'm up at the west end of Lake Don Pedro. It was such a beautiful day on Monday. I decided to come back again. It's Thursday. Fishing's been about the same. I've hooked into, I think, 4 bass and got 2 on the boat and missed 2 of them. I tried something a little bit different this time. I usually come up and I'll start in the early morning, maybe trolling for a couple hours for trout and then switch over to bass. Today I did the opposite. I got here about 6:30 and started fishing for bass right away and fished for about 4 hours and then switched. I got a spinning rod here with a little super duper on it, just trolling my way back to the dock. I got a kind of a long ways away from the dock, so it's probably an hour trip back. But as you can see, it's a gorgeous day. Again, about 70 degrees, very light wind, and not a lot of boats out here today. There's been a few, but not too many. No trout so far. Of course, if I hook into one, I'll check back in and let you know. But that's it for me, so I'm just hoping the fishing holds out. And of course, winter's gonna hit here eventually, and it'll be a much more difficult prospect to find the fish and catch them. Not impossible, but more difficult. But right now the bite's pretty good. So I did use my spinnerbait, a couple of different ones. All in sort of a white and silver pattern that seems to match the bait fish here really well. And that's what I caught all the fish on. I did switch over to a football jig and tried going down deep, see what was down on the bottom, and that didn't produce anything. Then I tried 2 crankbaits, a lipless one, great big heavy lipless one that I could drop down and fish really deep, and then another one that had a big lip on it, but it was a deep diver. It was like a 20-foot deep diver in a bluegill pattern. I tried that and nothing, but by then the bite had been off, so who knows. All right, well, I'll check back in later. Hey, Fisherman Barry here again. I haven't caught any more fish, but I did want to sort of orient you, any of you that might want to come up here fishing. That's Jenkins Hill right there. And to the left of it is something I think is called Graveyard Creek or something like that. And Rogers Creek is that direction. And I don't know what the name of this area is. I've actually never fished this part in my kayak before. During the summer, it's way too busy with boats out here, and of course the water level's higher, and it can get really choppy and that. So I've been here in my other boat a few times. I think I overnighted here once back at the end of this, and fished it. But this is the first trip for the kayak. And one thing I'll mention too is Fleming Meadows is just around here and across the other side. And for those of you not familiar, or if you are familiar with it, the dam that's there now is the second dam. They built that in the early 70s, I believe. And that's about the first time I ever came here. And I remember fishing when they were filling it up. The old dam was just about at the surface, under, the water was covering it, but you could still see it right at the top almost. It's a couple of 100 feet down now. But that's probably one of the biggest trout I ever caught, was right along the old dam, just trolling what would have been the face of it, but it was submerged. That was like a 20-something inch, 22 inch maybe, rainbow. So I'm going to be trolling back in that same direction. Of course, again, it's a couple 100 feet underwater, but that's the direction back. From the end of this point here is where the old dam used to meet, and across to the other side. They raised a new dam, I think about 300 feet total, so they could have more water capacity, and that really expanded the reservoir. So we'll see. Hopefully, it'd be nice to take a trout home for dinner, but we'll see. I got it. That's looks like super duper. That's typical action there on the rod tip for it. But it's been about a year since I caught one, so it'd be nice to pick one up.